So, remember a couple of years ago when we went to Nashville and basically it was mental? So it turns out Indycar took one look at that and thought, what if we managed to make it even worse? Now I say that like I haven't enjoyed the 2 demolition derbies we've had at the Music City Grand Prix. Let's be honest, I say I don't get excitement out of a crash because it would make people angry at me, and I tend to give them plenty more reasons to do that anyway. But as IndyCar returned to Detroit, even the drivers were complaining. It was too short, too tight, with even some claiming the winner on Sunday would be the last man standing. I'm writing this bit before the races even got underway, but I think it'll be worth a comedy review regardless. Roll that intro. Now, of course, the IndyCar series last raced around Detroit back in 2019, when the track was a Circuit Gilles Villeneuve ripoff and the world hadn't ended yet. The sport hasn't always raced around there though. Back in the 80s and early 90s, the Detroit Grand Prix took place at the old F1 layout, which, as you'd expect, was the peak of safety. I'm obviously joking. That was Michael Andretti, binning it into the back of a recovery truck, soon to be followed by Dennis Vitolo, who was clearly on his way to Specsavers as well. IndyCar hasn't returned to the downtown street since. Until now, of course. The new 9-turn layout featuring in this year's event was short, tight and bumpy. Not ideal racing conditions when you have Devlin DeFrancesco in the field. He, to the surprise of literally no one, was the first to bin it into the concrete barriers during practice, with several other drivers out there getting a tad too close to the walls as well. With more red flags than Grosjean has had crashes this season, the situation didn't paint a brilliant picture ahead of the race on Sunday. At least we had a dry run in the form of the Indy Next series to put our minds at ease.
Heading into this 35-mile-an-hour zone, and Foster gets turned around from behind!
Well, shit. Full of confidence, the drivers headed out into qualifying. Well, I'd say that Christian Lundgaard headed straight into the concrete wall. Colton Herta would bitch slap the barrier on exit 2, as Kyle Kirkwood ripped his front left corner apart at turn 7. It would be Indy 500 pole winner Alex Palou, though, who kept his number 10 Ganassi out the wall long enough to take back-to-back P1s in qualifying. Scotty Mack would join the Spaniard on the front row, with Grosjean and Dixon in hot pursuit coming into Sunday. Before we get into that though, it's time for me to talk about the sponsor of this video. Me, since no one else wanted to this week. On a serious note, a big thank you for all the support for this series, and especially to those who help support me as a patron or channel member as well. If you want to get involved, head to the link in the description below. Now, race time. With the first start called off as America's Best failed to get into formation, the real Grand Prix of Detroit got underway on lap 2. And lasted all of 100 metres. Callum Ilot's Junko's car attempted to mate with Kyle Kirkwood's before we even got to the first turn. That brought out the yellows, as the Andretti limped back to the pits for reconstructive surgery on its arsehole. We tried to go racing again on lap 7, Palou holding the lead as Grosjean slipped down the inside of McLaughlin. Start the clock as we await our next incident. Oh, hold on, we didn't get one. All the hype, all the concern, and even with Santina Ferrucci in the field, we were racing cleanly in Detroit. Well, for now at least. In the meantime, Grosjean was showing some impressive pace, meaning it was time for him to throw it all the way. That relinquished McLaughlin, but only for a matter of laps, as Dixon was now on a charge. You know who wasn't? Pato O'Ward. He had parked it in the middle of the pit lane for some reason. As it turns out, wheel guns aren't particularly useful when they don't have a wheel nut to put on. O'Ward found this out the hard way, but fair play to the Mexican for going back out and fighting to get back on the lead lap. When he realised all hope was lost, he did the slightly bored-on look as a favour and brought out a caution for us all. Thank you, Pato. We went back racing again with 50 laps still to run and a lap Ferrucci holding up the entire field. As he was jostled aside like a rogue ping-pong ball, the yellow flags came out once again, this time for good old Stingray Rob. Now, how the hell did he manage to get stuck down there? Clearly wanting another caution, the AMR safety crew decided to restart the 51 and send Stingray on his merry way. As the strategists factored this into their pit stop plans, we were racing once again. Or actually, no, we weren't. Graham Rahall's dementia kicked in as he slammed the 15 car into the wall under caution. As he phoned Catherine Legg to see if she could break someone else's back, Benjamin Peterson proved that dementia is in fact an airborne disease. Now, this is what we were expecting from good old Detroit, isn't it? We would actually go green again on lap 56, with Will Power, who'd cycled up to the front thanks to gambling on strategy, storming past Palou on the faster alternate tyre. Fun fact about those alternate tyres this weekend, you may have noticed that they were green instead of the usual red. That's because they were made out of more sustainable materials, and with us more environmentally friendly. And so, like all environmentally friendly replacements, they were all a piece of shit. With Palou back in the lead and Power sinking like the Belgrano, Scott Dixon took a risk pitting early and trying to go till the end of the race. That didn't seem to be the goal for the remaining McLarens in the field, Rossi and Rosenqvist playing a high-speed version of carbon fibre chicken. You know who else was together on track? Grosjean and McLaughlin, which as we know only ends in one massive fiery accident. Once again, it was Grosjean who was leaving the pits, and not wanting a St. Pete rerun, chose to bin McLaughlin into the apex of T1 before the Chevy driver even had a chance. Karma was about to bite Grosjean back though. As it turned out, he didn't need McLaughlin to bin him into the wall. The Frenchman was in fact quite capable of doing that himself. With Roman exploding in a fit of rage, not making that joke, we tried to go racing again, though David Malukas put his car in the wall before that even happened. I'm sure you're expecting a joke for this one, but moving on. That left us with a 10-lap sprint to the flag, and with Power having got off the vegan tyres, he was good again. Vegan rubber or not, a punt up the rear end by Scott Dixon isn't going to help your cause. That benefited Alex Rossi, the McLaren man sailing through the carnage from 5th to 2nd. Wonder if there's a reason I'm mentioning that for later on. In the meantime, we had another caution, and nay, it's Stingray again. 5 laps to go then, yet Rossi seemed to think he was on a formation lap. He slipped behind Power and got in another amazing battle with his teammate. It was great, clean racing. Until it wasn't. McLaren were imploding, but really there was no stopping Alex Palou and Ganassi out front. He came across the line to take what was really a dominant victory, with Power and a pre-castrated Rosenqvist rounding out the podium. You know, for a moment there, I thought all the hype around this race was going to be for nothing. Then Stingray Rob happened, and we got another classic here in 2023. Palou really has his sights set on the title now, and it's going to take some doing to challenge him. That being said, this is Indycar, and momentum can start and stop in just a mere few seconds. I mean, just ask Romain Grosjean. Indy takes a break next week before heading to Road America, at the exact same time as the Canadian Grand Prix. Cheers for that one, guys. You can rest assured, though, that both will get a video regardless. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. A huge thank you once again to all my patrons and channel members, and if you want to support me further, just head down to the links in the description below. But for now, that's all from me in the comedy review, so I'll see you all in the next one.